Hello, writers. It's Megan coming at you live in the All Writers Welcome Facebook group. And I wanted to talk today about keeping your focus on just one project. Some of you might have seen the post I put in the group about, the fact that we have a gajillion ideas as creative people. And that is often a wonderful thing. And then it's often a terrible thing when those ideas keep coming up once you're already committed to working on one project. And I think of creativity a lot like a cat. The more you try to focus on one thing, sometimes the more it's up there getting its butt in your face and saying, "Pay attention to me! It is my turn for attention." And all those good ideas come up. So there were a lot of really neat responses about how people stay on track, strategies that people use. And what I want to talk about today is um, some of the misconceptions that people have about focus, that writers tend to have about focus, and why they don't work, and then to offer you a two-pronged solution that does work. All right, so let's start with the statement of why this is a problem. Why is it a problem to have a lot of great ideas? Well, because writing takes sustained focus. Even if you're writing something, shorter, if you're writing a short story, if you're writing a poem, you have to focus long enough to go through the entire writing process. If you're writing something longer, if you're writing a novella or a novel, you have to have even longer sustained focus. And if you're publishing and you're doing your publishing and your marketing tasks, that focus gets even longer still. So in order to maintain enough energy to be able to go through the whole writing process, planning, drafting, revising, editing, proofreading, and then, publishing and marketing, if that's part of what you're doing, you have to use a lot of energy. And when new ideas come up, they take away our energy a lot of the time, whether or not we bite, whether or not we give in to them, because it can take energy just to push out the new idea. So I really love the suggestions that some people were giving about jotting down those new ideas in a folder. Somebody talked about having a heart tree. And I'm getting an image of that in my mind. I don't know if it's the correct image, if it's what that author intended, but it sounded so lovely because I imagined something very rooted that grows naturally and organically and comes from your heart and gives you all of these different branches where you can put down your ideas. So absolutely, if you can just quickly save your ideas in a place so you don't lose them, that's a wonderful beginning. But after that initial saving, you may find that it doesn't make the ideas stop bugging you. Hey, Shauna, glad to see you. So now they're captured, they're down, they're in your folder, they're in your saved spot. Another author said, hey, I write them down on note cards and I throw them in a box. And then when I'm ready for my next project, I look in the box. What a cool idea. I love it. So we're getting some great suggestions from writers about what to do in that initial moment when the thought strikes you. Then there's still this larger problem of what do I do about the fact that those ideas are like kitty cats that come and invade my mental space when I want to be working on my project. And the further problem that it takes a lot of energy to maintain my focus, to complete my project in the first place. And if I have those other ideas coming to steal focus, it's really challenging. So now let's get to the way a lot of writers try to solve this problem of focus that I have seen not work for a lot of them who've tried it. And it is to just white knuckle it and hunker down, and I'm just gonna, focus. I'm gonna force myself. I'm going to use willpower. And it sounds like the responsible thing to do. I'll buckle down. I'll focus more. I'll pull myself up by my bootstraps. I'll do it all myself. Here's the challenge. Using willpower requires energy. Forcing yourself or trying really hard to do something actually eats into your supply of energy. And I don't know about you, but I only have so much energy to go around. And if I'm using some of it to force myself to do any task, then I have less of it for actually doing the task. So instead of white knuckling it, instead of buckling down and willpower and forcing yourself, here's a two-pronged approach to keeping your focus. The first one is a mindset piece. If you trust yourself to finish projects, it will feel a lot less anxiety-inducing to stay focused on this idea and know you're going to get to your other ideas later. So how do you build trust with yourself? Well, you prove to yourself that you complete things. And this is not just about writing. This is something you can actually practice and build in any realm of your life. If you commit to something, no matter how small, I am going to wash all the dishes today. And then you do it. Oh, I committed to that and I did it, and you get that feeling of trust. The way you can do it with writing is by giving yourself a very doable writing task. And maybe that's setting aside 20 minutes and saying, I'm going to write for those 20 minutes and I'm not going to stop. And you make yourself successful by actually scheduling the time on your calendar, literally scheduling it, not going, oh yeah, I can probably do it tomorrow around 2 o'clock. You go to your calendar, you write down 2 o'clock, writing 20 minutes. When that time comes up, you make sure you are already in your writing spot. You don't go to your writing spot at 2 o'clock. At 5 minutes to 2, you get your water and your pen and your journal, or you go to your computer and you sit down and you're ready to go. You set a timer so that you actually stick to that time. And then here's the really key part. At the end of it, when you complete, you take a minute to be in that space and feel what it feels like to have completed, to have stuck to what you said you would do. And if you do this continually, you're going to build trust. You're also going to be getting writing down, but you're going to be building trust. And again, you can do this in other parts of your life. Make it a habit for you to complete tasks so that you can trust yourself. Because I tell you, a lot of the anxiety about having a lot of great ideas can come from worrying you won't be able to finish them. Right? You worry, oh my gosh, there's something great over here, and there's something great over here, and there's something great over here. And that's a fear, which is so wacky because it's a feeling of scarcity in the midst of such abundance. But if we don't trust ourselves that we'll finish things, that's where that anxiety can come up. And I have to share with you guys this story because this is such a powerful image. When I was growing up, we had a golden retriever. And my dad would take him on these long, long walks, and there was a housing development that had tennis courts. And so there would always be, in the area outside the fence of this development, tennis balls that had been knocked over the fence. And Marvin, the golden retriever, loved tennis balls, his favorite thing in the world. So he would pick them up and he would carry them all the way home. And when he got home with them, they would get confiscated, because he would destroy them and there'd be pieces of tennis ball all over the house. So he was allowed to play with them outside, but they got confiscated as soon as he was in the house. And one day, my dad got this idea. He got this gleam in his eye and he said, I wonder what would happen if we took Marvin outside in the backyard and we took all the tennis balls that we have been confiscating over the months and we threw them all up in the air. One time, like, that would be his dream come true, right? This dog, he would be in heaven. So, okay, sounds like fun. We go in the backyard and my dad takes this, 2 shopping bags full of tennis balls, throws them in the air and they all come down. And Marvin, the dog, went to one and then he went to the other and he went to another and he could not pick up a single tennis ball because each one looked even better than the one before. And this poor dog, we thought it would be heaven for him. He was tortured. We kind of like quickly cleaned up all but one and, threw it for him a bit so we could get it out of his system. But that may be how you sometimes feel with your ideas, that there are so many good ideas, it's impossible to stay focused on just one and to choose one. And it's a kind of torture. So I just have that. It's such a concrete image for me as to why more ideas can really be a challenge. Okay, so the mindset piece, if Marvin the golden retriever had been able to get the message, you will have a chance to play with every one of these tennis balls he could have calmed down. He could have just said, okay, I'm starting with this one, and I'm having fun, and then I'll move on to something else. But you, because you're not a golden retriever, can have that powerful mindset switch where you build the trust. Okay, so that's the mindset piece. Hey Carrie, hey Trish, hey April. Yeah, it's torture to have that many good ideas, and that's what, even sometimes if you write them in the drawer, you write them and put them in the drawer, they're there, and as you're working on the scene in your book, you're going, oh gosh, it would be so much fun to write that scene in my other. Yeah, so that mindset piece where you say, I know I complete things, and I know I will get to those other projects because I will complete the one I'm on, makes a huge difference. All right, but let's talk about the other piece of this, because this is a two-pronged approach. You need the mindset, and then, as you may have guessed, you also need a practical piece, because all of the writing for 20 minutes in the world won't help you finish your novel and publish it and market it if you don't know what the steps are that are involved in that. Right? You go, oh, I have all this trust with myself. I know I complete things. I said I was going to wash all the dishes. I did. I said I was going to write for 20 minutes. I did. I said I was going to call my mom. I did. Right? You got this long list of things you completed, but you go, how do I write my final scene? How do I market on Facebook? You have to have practical steps. And here's where that's really tricky for writers. There's so much information available. There's a lot of it here in the All Writers Welcome Facebook group and in the All Writers Welcome website. There are so many cool YouTube channels of authors sharing what they do, but it's kind of not, well, let me put it this way. If I were trying to learn how to change a tire on my car and I looked up a YouTube video, I would see somebody with the tire, with the, I don't know, wing nuts and the tire iron and the jack and the whole thing, right? And I would actually get to watch that process. And I could pause it and go, oh, that's how I could literally mimic what that person is doing, because it's a process that happens in the world. Writing is a process that happens in here. So even when you find somebody who's really good at writing, and that person is like, oh yeah, here's how you do it, and you do this, and then you do this, and is sharing the process with you, you don't get to see inside of her head to see how she comes up with those ideas, right? You're not seeing the wheels turning, and that's very frustrating. So if you know, okay, I've got a process that I have to follow, and that process is I have to plan, and then I have to draft, and then I have to revise, and then I have to edit, and then I have to do my proofreading, and I got to do my marketing steps, and I got to format to publish, there may still be kind of a black box feeling where you're not able to see through to what the steps are that are in that process. So just having a process is a great place to start. And that might be where you find yourself. You go, okay, in order to finish this project so that I can move on to my next great idea, what do I need to do? And that might be a very powerful step for you. You might just start with that and go, okay, now I can see I have, 6 more steps in my process. Now I have at least a better sense of when I'll finish, and that's encouraging me because I know it's not going to take me forever to get to my next cool idea. So start with that. What are the things you need to do to finish your process? You go, like, I gotta write 17 more chapters, and then I have to revise all of my chapters. Put those things in a list. And if you create a deadline for that list, if you have a deadline in mind for your whole project, that can be really powerful, because again, then you're seeing, I'm only working for this much longer on this project, and then I'll be able to move on to something else. But if once you have that list of steps, if once you have your process, you're still looking at it and you're going, I don't know what's involved in revising, that's when you need to zoom in and you need to get the blow by blow. Just like somebody changing the tire on YouTube, you need to be able to see, what does it mean to revise? What do I do first, second, third? What are all of the steps involved? So it's a very different thing to know what those steps are, and to know when you're going to finish them and have that intention in mind and that deadline in mind. Again, coming back to the big picture, which is how can I stay focused on this current idea and not get seduced by the new idea? It's because your mindset is, you can trust yourself to finish things. And then the practical piece is, the steps you have to take. If this is making sense, if you're thinking, okay, I want to put myself in that mindset and I feel like I can practice that, then take the next step, go ahead, take action, write down the remaining steps in your process to get to finished. And if you would like more help with understanding what the different steps are and what to do in all those stages, maybe you go, okay, I know I have to revise, but what is involved in revising? Then you should come and join Ella and me for a free training that we're doing this week. And it's about how to write, market, and publish your book in 4 months. And the reason there's a deadline there, the reason there is a time element here, is because we know this is not your only idea. We know you have so many more great ideas, and that you want to be able to move on to them after having completed this one. You don't want to end up like Marvin the dog who's like, this one, oh, no, that one, no, that one, no, that one, no, that one, right? You want to be able to move on to your next awesome idea after having finished the current one in a way that you're really proud of. You don't want to just rush through it to say it's done. You want to finish it and make it really, really good. We know that. But then you also want to move on to the next one. We know that too. So that's where the power of that time frame comes in. And some people go, oh my gosh, 4 months is nothing. It's not enough time to do something. But 4 months from another point of view is actually a really long time to sustain energy, right? It's a third of a year. So that's why we think it's this lovely time, because it is short enough to put a lot of fire under you, right? It's short enough where you're like, oh, I gotta get moving, right? I don't have like a month and a half where I sit around and do nothing and then I'll work on it for 6 months and I'm still within the deadline. You're like, oh, I gotta get going now. But it's long enough where you get to complete all of the steps and you get to spend a lot of good quality attention on all of them. And I'll tell you why this goes faster. I'll tell you why we make it a shorter period of time. Because our processes that we teach you about planning, drafting, revising, editing, and marketing are about working more efficiently and saving you time. All right. I'd love for you to keep sharing your thoughts and your strategies about how you keep your focus on one project, and what you do so that you finish the current project you're on before moving on to the next one. And if you're interested in joining us for the free training this week, I will put the link in the comments. And we're going to walk you through the steps that make these processes faster and more effective and more efficient. This is not about rushing, but it's about doing things in an order that makes sense, so you're not having to go back and redo unnecessary work. That's all it is. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I look forward to hearing more of your comments about staying focused, and I look forward to seeing you at our free training. Ta-ta for now.